Hi, this is a video response to Moderate Calvinist about his recent video on Catholicism and Calvinism kind of being equal in a certain error. And I'm assuming that by Calvinism you're talking about more of a James White style Calvinism or even a hyper-Calvinism. And I just want to start out by saying that I understand your logic. I think it's impeccable logic. I mean, Scripture clearly says that God justifies the ungodly. But for the James White Calvinists out there, their ordosality says that a person is regenerated first. So the new creature is created first in order to believe, because the old creature can't have faith, according to James White. It's the new creature who has been regenerated. It's a product of regeneration. It's the new creature then who has faith, and then by that faith he's justified. And so it's the new creature then that is justified, not the old creature, because the old creature doesn't have faith. But the problem is the new creature is godly, because it's a new creature created by God through Jesus Christ. And therefore, according to James White, the logical conclusion of his ordosalities is that God justifies the godly. And Scripture says otherwise. So, I think that's a very effective logic, and I would encourage anyone who follows the James White style of Calvinism to really think about that. That's a direct contradiction. What I want to present in this video, though, is just more facts. It's not something along the lines of argumentation, but just what is the Catholic teaching. I think there's an error in your video, and it's probably just because you're not Catholic, so you're not really accustomed to dealing with how Catholics talk about things. But I am a Catholic, so let me try to help you out a little bit, and let's go over Trent and see what the major problem is. First of all, in the session, in the chapter on justification for the Council of Trent, it's talking about preparation. All right, so this is that period of time before a man is baptized. Now keep in mind the Catholic Church teaches that all of this happens at the moment of baptism. Okay, justification, regeneration, sanctification. Okay, so if we're in that period of preparation before baptism, then we're talking about the old creature here. This is the natural man, the unregenerated man. Okay, so the council says, now they, talking about adults, are disposed unto the said justice when, excited and assisted by divine grace, conceiving faith by hearing, they are freely moved towards God, believing those things to be true which God has revealed and promised, and especially that God justifies the impious by his grace. So here we see that Trent clearly teaching that the natural man, the unregenerated man, does conceive faith by hearing the gospel and believing those things to be true which he is taught. Okay. Now the difference, of course, between Catholic teaching and Protestant teaching is Catholic teaching says that man is not justified by faith alone. So even though here we have the natural man conceiving this faith with the assistance of God's grace, which the Catholic Church calls the prevenient grace, nonetheless that person is not at that moment then justified, okay, because he's not justified by faith alone. He has to be baptized. Whether or not you agree with that is a different video. I mean, I'm just presenting what the Catholic teaching is. I'm not trying to argue the merits of it. Okay. So with that background, let's continue on here in the next chapter. Okay, what the justification of the impious is. So now they're talking about the actual justification. This disposition, which we just talked about, or preparation, is followed by justification itself. Okay, so you can see the order here. We are prepared by the prevenient grace. During that time of preparation, we do conceive faith by hearing the gospel. Okay, but after that is where we are justified in our baptisms. Now it doesn't say that here, but it says it later on. Okay, so it is followed by justification itself, which is not remission of sins merely, okay, but also the sanctification and renewal of the inward man. Now notice there's three things. Council of Trent is defining and using the word justification to mean three things simultaneously. It's the remission of sins. Okay, justification is also sanctification, and justification is also renewal of the inward man. Well, what is that? That's regeneration, right? The renewal of the inward man is the direct product of regeneration. Okay, when someone is regenerated, his inward man is renewed. Okay, so maybe that's kind of a difference there. I'm not sure between Catholic terminology and Protestant terminology. The Catholic terminology refers to one action of God that happens at our baptisms, and this one action is called various things, but it's all the same action: justification, sanctification, regeneration, being born again, those kinds of things. Okay, and so you can see clearly here the Council of Trent is teaching a simultaneous effect of this one action of God, and that is justification, regeneration, and sanctification. Okay, so what about the statement where Trent says, well, if someone were not born again, or if someone were not regenerated, he would never be justified? What is that a contradiction? Well, no. They're making the point there that man does not justify himself alone. Okay, it happens in the regeneration. Okay, he doesn't say that, or the Trent doesn't say that someone is regenerated into a new creature, and then after that he is justified. No, I mean, Trent is clearly teaching it all happens at the same time. So if you're not regenerated, you're not also going to be justified, because it's the same thing. And maybe you can think of it this way. If I hit a golf ball to the southwest, all right, that's one action. And in fact, it's really one trajectory of the ball. However, the ball really is doing three things at the same time. It's moving to the south, it's moving to the west, and it's also moving up, even though I've just hit it to the southwest. I mean, if you hit something to the southwest, it is moving south, but it's also moving west at the same time. And so you could say, if I hit the ball to the southwest, and that's the only direction I'm hitting it, you could say that if the ball was not hit to the west, it would also never be hit to the south, because they're connected. That's the point I'm making. I'm making the point that they're connected, not that one follows the other or anything like that. I mean, there's one action of God which results in three things simultaneously: being born again or regenerated, being sanctified, and being justified. And therefore that I think is a difference between the Council of Trent and, say, a James White style Calvinism, which logically clearly teaches that it's the new creature that is justified by God through a separate action. There's one action where you're regenerated, then there's the action where that new creature has faith, okay, and then as a result of that faith there's another action where he's justified. And so there's a chronology or a sequence there, and that does contradict Scripture, as you correctly point out. But that's not the same as the Catholic teaching, because the Catholic teaching is that there's one action of God that simultaneously results in three things: the sanctification, justification, and the renewal of the inward man, which you can call being born again or being saved or whatever. There's various names for it. So I just hope that really clarifies what the Catholic teaching is, and how there really is a difference between Trent and James White. So until the next time, just pray that God blesses us all, and I'll see you later. Bye.